trying to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah, hope I get away with it. Oh, doo-dah, day.
This town needs an enema.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stupid O'Clock. John's not paying attention again.
Oh, sorry. I was actually answering some of your fan mail.
Oh, okay. All I'm going to say is I think Carl missed the beginning of the show. He definitely needs to watch it. Yeah, this is definitely one you've got to watch on replay because I played the wrong thing at the beginning.
Yeah. It's the scariest thing you could possibly see at Halloween.
Yep. Oh, and hey, Zach, how are you doing? Beautiful launch and landing today. SpaceX sent up two. It wasn't a SpaceX launch. It was actually a
Military launch, wasn't it? Or
no, it was
communications.
Yeah, communications launch.
They were sending up a couple of communication satellites. It got scrubbed. What was it? Thursday, or where's Zach when I need him? It got scrubbed because of a fuel leak, and the computer scrubbed it at the last minute. They had to fix that. Launched it today.
They have more fuel leaks.
Yeah,
It's that time of year.
And Zach said some of the most beautiful shots they had on the webcam. Yes, it was absolutely amazing. They had a view from the drone ship facing back towards the Cape, and it had what they call the jellyfish.
Oh, did the
Yeah, when it launched into the sun.
And I'm sure for those of you who didn't get a chance to see it, you can watch the replay on the launch pad starring our buddy Zach
On YouTube.
Yeah, he has a YouTube page. He's got his own Facebook stuff going on. Discord channels. Discord channel's fun. It's like a gaming convention. If you've ever been to his Discord channel. I sat in with them one night when they were playing Wordle.
Okay.
Group Wordle.
I've never played it, but I hear it's addictive.
I can't remember her name. I think she works for him.
Let's let him finish drinking. Swallow that. Don't need.
Get the cup out of the shot. There we go. Okay, yeah.
Zach, you know this is not the show to be drinking. having anything to drink.
No, of course not. You can't. You have to hide the branding. I don't think there's one on this side.
Oh no, at home of the spit take. Let me tell you. Okay.
Definitely.
Well, you're supposed to hide the brand. Doesn't this look like Carl on this bottle? His fez looks a little limp, but I swear that looks like Carl.
Yeah, Zach, you were in the audience when the show started, weren't you?
It pinged me when you started it, so.
But you saw the beginning of the show, though, right? When we went live?
I think so. Some of it?
Yeah, okay.
The trick is to move the chair without moving your head too much.
Oh, but yeah, we were talking about that launch. That was absolutely.
When was it supposed to launch, Zach?
It was yesterday, and then originally it was the day before that, and then originally it was the day before that.
So it was Wednesday.
I believe so. That sounds about right. Yeah, it was some helium decay thing, which they said they would have been fine launching anyways, but they're like, it's a customer payload. You don't risk those. So,
If it had been Starlink, they'd have sent it.
pretty much. Elon said it was like, if 0.001 was their cutoff, it was 0.0009. And I was like, so it flagged the system, and that's why the rocket aborted. But like, they probably could have been gone and been fine.
Yeah.
But because it's a customer, they didn't risk it, which makes sense.
What is the helium used for?
Good question.
Helium is used to spin up the turbo pumps.
So
I thought it was used to make you sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
That too.
So they cryogenically cool the turbo pumps, or just get them up to speed, or both.
Both.
It was really not an issue after they would have ignited anyways, I don't think.
Yeah.
Unless it was on the second stage, which then, yeah.
The second stage.
Was it? Okay.
I remember
That
that.
explains it.
Yeah.
For those of you sitting at home who don't know, because they're pumping so much cryogenic fuel, cold, liquid oxygen, liquid whatever, liquid methane, I think. What is he using down there for the
Kerosene.
kerosene? Or it's actually kerosene. Anyway, because they're going to be pumping liquid oxygen through the engine, they have to cool it down a lot first, or it makes a lot of noises that NASA doesn't want their rockets to make. Okay, just leave it at that. And so they have to cool it down first, and then they can pump the fuel through it and launch it.
Yeah, kind of the way you wouldn't think it works. Let's make it really cold to make it really hot.
I wonder, because the only thing that really gets hot is the cone, right? Because that's where all the ignition is.
Generally, yeah. I mean, yeah, that would be 99% of the heat.
Oh, and
Who is Facebook user? Darn it!
That's what I was wondering.
they got bumped.
They
I got bumped again. It may be Sarah.
That's what I'm wondering. Here, wait a minute. Let me.
They're on Dan Hollifield's page. Well, there's somebody else on the Stupid O'Clock page too.
And then, where is that little? There it is.
look for it. There's the crawl.
There's the crawl.
Oh, Zach, one of the big questions on one of the constantly running Starbase cameras is this the last rollout of B7 to the pad?
I don't know. Will it be the last rollout of SLS?
Apparently, Sarah's here, so
We'll see. If it doesn't
you can see
explode,
Sarah. So.
if it doesn't explode itself again, and it doesn't leak again, and it fuels properly, then maybe not. Yes, but there's a lot of things that have to happen right for it to. Yeah. Lot. I don't think we're gonna. I think they're gonna try by end of year. I do not think we will see it by end of year.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a race again. SLS or Starship.
Yeah.
Now, is this one actually going to fly, or are they just using it to test engines?
So Booster 7 will get a ship on top with a couple Starlinks most likely in it, and they're going to send it up. So originally the ship was only supposed to almost get into orbit and then come back down over Hawaii. But now that they've got Starlinks ready for it, the thought is they might actually circularize, deploy, and then slow the Starship down to come back over Hawaii.
If you're up there, if you're going to be up there anyway, you know.
I mean, why not? I mean, they're throwing the ship and the booster. Well, they're throwing the ship away. The booster they're going to try to catch on a first attempt. We don't even know if this thing's going to launch. And they're like, yeah, let's grab it out of the air. So I'm excited for that, but also scared for that.
Hey, Chris. No, they actually this week welded the payload door shut.
Oh, was that a permanent weld? I thought that was in a cover thing for testing, but maybe if they did, yeah.
So 26 will probably be carrying first.
Well, and then 27 and 28 are going to be without anything. They're going to be like almost like deep space versions. You're not going to have fins or heat shields or anything on them, which those will likely be Starlinks for sure. Because why try if you know you can get to orbit and deploy? That's what they need to start doing because they're getting tight on their deadline of missing and losing their frequency.
Yeah. I'm thinking very possibly those two ships are tankers.
Maybe like a tanking test.
Yeah.
But on the second and third flight, or third and fourth,
If you're gonna send up a slug into space just to test the system, you might as well put something in it that's useful.
yeah, I would think Starlink's more their concern. But I mean, who knows? I mean, somebody knows. But
I'm surprised that he hasn't come up with a plan yet or announced a plan to launch a type of starship that has drones on board. That it goes up, gets into orbit, sends the drones out, grabs space junk, brings it back to the starship, and then brings it in.
there's a lot of people wanting that. It's just no government wants to pay for it.
That's where you use extortion. You see, you like grab an old Russian satellite and tell them you're going to sell it to the Americans if they don't pay for it. And you grab the old American satellite and say, we're going to drop this one in Russia if you don't pay for it. So, you know,
Well, they are talking about
we salvaged it. We can do what we want to with it. So,
Yeah. There is now talk of another Hubble mission.
Yeah, that one came out of literally nowhere. And from what I understand, it almost sounds like Jared Isaacman came and was like, I want to save Hubble. Here's money. Give me a ship. And SpaceX was like, okay, that's not our thing. We'll call NASA, and called NASA and was like, so we're going to go save Hubble for you, but you need to give us the contracts for exclusivity and we're paying for it. And NASA was like, sounds like a plan.
wait a
Prove
minute.
it on paper.
You're going to save our multi-billion-dollar telescope, and you're going to pay for it, and all we got to do is say yes? No problem.
Yeah, so sure we can do that. Why not? We'll see. I mean, it needs to pass the feasibility study. I think there's questions on whether they'll be allowed to give out that contract without opening it to other companies to compete, even though it's being paid because it is government, which there's some humming and hawing on because normally there has to be the competition to it. There's also questions about it being a national security thing with a private company.
So if they did that, who do you think they would open it up to as far as competitors?
I don't think anyone else could do it. No one
That's
else.
why I was wondering.
No one has a crewed vehicle. So that's the big question with it is, and it's still even with this Polaris program, they might not send a crew. They might use a cargo dragon or a Dragon XL or something else to do the reboost because they don't technically need a crew there for reboost. If they wanted to do a repair or upgrades, then obviously they need the crew, which is where now there's conversations of them flipping. So like normally Dragon docks from like its head to the station. Now there's talks about they're going to have to flip Dragon, put a special thing inside the trunk, and the trunk is what will dock to Hubble. And then the crew will be able to get outside the nose and come around, work, come back in, which would mean Polaris Dawn's first spacewalk would actually qualify, proving they can do that with Dragon. So then the only untested thing would be the docking ring in the trunk, which they would be able to test on that first mission. But they would know Dragon could do everything else. I think the only consideration with it is it would probably be tight on the fuel. Like they were saying, if it was boosting it, it was only boosting it 30 or 40 kilometers, it sounded like, circular ice. So, I mean, it's still adding 10, 15 years to it, but it's not we're not sending it way further. We're kind of just putting it back where it was.
Hubble is way out there. That was like the longest duration mission that the space shuttle could do. It literally tacks the space shuttle, and that's a big ship.
And from what I'm hearing, it's going to be actual repair work because 3 of the 6 gyroscopes have gone down.
Bigger issue, not even the gyroscopes, the computers. They are on their very last computer. So if the current brain of Hubble dies, there is no backup Hubble dies. So they need to upgrade the computers. They need to fix the gyros.
Sounds like 2 missions to me.
Sounds like a lot of missions.
The first
and then
one's
it
going to
opens.
boost it,
Is it
the
worth
second
it?
one's going to go out and repair it and boost it. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, they're replacing it in 4 years, 3 years. So the question is, do we necessarily need it, or could we just grab it, bring it home with Starship instead?
Well, I'm wondering.
I would love to see Starship grab it, bring it home.
Everyone wants to put it at Kennedy because they have a fake one that's to scale next to Atlantis. Everyone wants them to bring it home, so the real one is next to the real Atlantis, which is what deployed it.
No, I want to see it at the Smithsonian. It's where it belongs.
No, they didn't get anything. The aircraft carrier got stuff before the Smithsonian did, for some reason.
Because the Smithsonian's got all of the Mercury and Gemini and Apollo and
They got Archie Bunker's chair and Fonzie's jacket. They don't need the Hubble.
They got Phyllis Diller's file cabinet with all of her jokes.
They have
What the
Jetfire.
Well, do you think Dragon Endeavor will end up at Smithsonian?
I think all the dragons will end somewhere. I don't know. I think there's a few museums that were supposed to get shuttle stuff that didn't, that hopefully SpaceX will eventually provide one for. Big one I know is Evergreen Air and Space Museum in Oregon. They literally built they have the Spruce Goose, and they literally built a matching building to the Spruce Goose's building because they can take all the windows out and they could back a shuttle into it because they were told they were getting one. And they moved all their space out. They built a whole secondary building for this specifically space, moved all their missiles and rockets into it, and then didn't get a shuttle, and it went to the aircraft carrier. So they've got this big empty building, which, I mean, it's full. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff in it, but
Now, see, that's wrong for 2 reasons, I think.
and they're a Smithsonian property too.
One, they built the building just for the space shuttle. 2, who the hell puts a space shuttle on an aircraft carrier? That's got to be a Yankee right there. Okay, that's just all there is to that.
No, that was a congressman with some pull,
Rudy Giuliani.
or a civil senator with some pull.
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
It was because
Obama
they
was
said
from-
it was supposed to support the shuttle program, the carriers or something. I don't know.
Now, okay, if they had put a Mercury or Gemini or Apollo on the aircraft, 'cause I think that aircraft carrier, the Intrepid, was actually one of the recovery boats for one of several of the space NASA missions. So that would have made sense, having a Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, Pac-Man, something, you know.
Yeah.
John, you know there's a Smithsonian Satellite Museum, or a satellite Smithsonian Museum just a couple hours away from us.
The Atomic Energy Museum?
No,
What?
Huntsville.
Oh, I didn't know they had a satellite. I knew Huntsville had their space and rockets. You know.
It's a satellite museum of Smithsonian.
Wait a minute.
It's,
If they were a satellite museum of Smithsonian, why were they trying to sell me a Saturn 1B booster?
they wanted to get rid of it.
I looked into military surplus at one time because I was actually thinking about starting an Army surplus store. And so I got the little catalogs and stuff like that. And I keep getting this stuff. Just, hey, you need to buy our leftover Jeep carburetors, you know, stuff like that. And we've only got 15,000 of them. Anyway, they sent me this little sheet, and I wish I'd kept a copy of it, that they were selling a Saturn 1B booster. And it actually broke down in the end that they were giving it away to whoever could transport it. And let me tell you, folks, I was trying to figure out where I could get a really big truck.
All you need is a 1973 Bonneville station wagon with the luggage rack on the top, and you just bungee strap it down, and you're good to go.
I did think about renting a barge.
Where was this one located?
Huntsville, the Space and Rocket Center.
Was this the one that? So this wasn't the one that was destroyed in the last 6 months. Then I don't think. Yeah, there was a old Saturn something that had sat somewhere for like 30 years, and landowner didn't want it anymore, and no one wanted it, so they one day just like bulldozer and came and destroyed it in the middle of the night.
Crunched up, sold it for scrap.
You know that's not Huntsville, Alabama, because somebody bought that thing, put wheels on it, and made a mobile home out of it.
Yeah. And there's a new name showed up from our Facebook side. Chilean Lista. Well, welcome to the show. We're going to sit here and talk for about 2 hours about absolutely nothing that makes any sense.
Yeah, nothing important. It's all just, trivial crap. We have been getting a lot of new members in Stupid Clock page.
Yes, I've noticed that.
Wasn't me this time.
And I think I know why. Remember that problem I was telling you, Joe, about every time I clicked on Stupid Clock, it switched over my identity from John Scarborough to Stupid Clock. So you're the administrator now. Thanks. If I don't notice it and I go look at another page and comment on it, it comments as Stupid Clock. And then I have to go back. No, I didn't mean to comment as Stupid Clock. That was me. And so I have to switch it back over to John Scarborough to do my commenting. But I've been accidentally commenting on several pages that I follow as Stupid Clock. And I was going to go back and change it, edit it or delete it, redo it as John. I got thinking about it. Wait a minute. That's free advertising. We ain't got to pay Facebook for it.
Don't say that too loud.
That's free advertising, and we ain't got to pay Facebook for it. That'll teach me to switch my stuff without my permission. That tinkling sound you hear is all the nickels and dimes they've been trying to get out of me falling by the wayside because they missed that one with their programmers.
I was wearing my Stupid O'Clock t-shirt the other day, went over to get gas, and go through the drive-up at Mickey D's and all that, and I walked into the Pilot and thought, we'll pick up something to drink and that, and went up there to pay for that and my gas, and the girl looked at my T-shirt and she says, "Stupid o'clock. I like that. That's neat. What's that all about?" So I told her, I said, show every Thursday night, Saturday night for a couple hours, and we talk about anything and everything, and sometimes nothing at all, and you can come in on the comments and comment or change the subject on us or whatever you want to do. And I said, more than welcome to do it. We're on YouTube and Facebook. And she's sitting there and just not saying a word. And then I stopped and she says, "Well, it's a nice T-shirt anyway." That'll be $17.97.
Story of our life. Well, it's a nice T-shirt.
Got to work on that elevator pitch, I know.
And here, I thought all the recent uptick was because of this, luxuriant handlebar.
Oh, that was
It don't work. I've had this for a while.
I own a razor.
I do too. I just don't like using it.
I think of John every time I see that commercial on TV for the tack shaver. It says military grade, and you can drop it into a glass of water, and which what they really wanted to do was saying, oh yes, you could drop it in the toilet and it'll still work, but who's going to want to use it after you dropped it in the toilet?
I can remember I was in the Army when Braun came out with their little pocket shaver that takes the 2 AA batteries. Just a little bitty thing. Look about the size of a pack of cigarettes. Everybody in the military went out and bought it. They couldn't keep them in the PX. It was kind of funny. Every morning when we were out in the field, out in the woods and stuff like that, every morning about 5:30, you start hearing this. The whole wood line would sound like angry hornets. All these guys are.
That probably scared the enemy off in itself.
Mm-hmm. Oh crap! Get out of here!
Oh,
well, I think this one is actually about the size of a pack of cigarettes as well, so they might have fashioned it off the Braun one. It's one of those bulb head commercials where they make 50 million products, and now the latest thing is they're saying, warning, due to rising costs and supplier problems or whatever, we have to stop making this product, and so we're only limiting 3 per customer at about $30 a piece.
I'm glad you brought that up. I've been getting ads for a type of shoe called Teva or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but I was like, well, that's a cool looking shoe, so I looked into it and I figured, well, if it's Chinese made, I'm not going to buy it. I got looking at it and I couldn't figure it out. Finally, I tracked it down over the internet. The company is in England, but they're not really in England. They have an office in another office in a warehouse in England. And apparently we're not sure, everybody's wondering how they can sell these really great shoes so cheap. It's probably an internet scam, and you're buying North Korean footwear or something like that. So apparently people think it's a big internet scam because Rich can help me out on this. He'll know the actual words for it. They're not accredited for internet sales. Norton approved or whoever.
Well, also, if they're a new company, they wouldn't have any type of backing or anything like that because
if they're brand new, they can't have anything like that. But you know, there is still the possibility of them being legitimate in some way, shape, and/or form, because of the number of countries that sweatshops still exist in, and them just renting the office space in a legitimate country to give themselves the legitimacy that they need, so that they could try to get around that kind of a thing.
Right.
Oh,
There's the tax saver.
Because people be sneaky.
oh, come on! Did you see that video I posted of a definition of being in the military? The guy takes a screw out of this piece of metal, welds the hole shut,
Grinds it off.
grinds it off,
Comes in with a punch marker, marks it, comes back in, puts some oil on it, brings in a drill bit, drills a new hole, brings in a tap, retaps the hole, puts the screw back in. They said that's what it's like being in the military for 10 years.
Sadly, I think that's
That's damn near perfect. I saw
except
one
they
like
do it twice a day.
I saw one like that one time where it shows the kid going to basic training, and the drill sergeant yelling, screaming at him, and puts him in the thing, has him buffing the floor with the floor buffer. It shows him going out to the range and training, coming back, buffing the floor with the floor buffer. Going out to the grenade range, tossing hand grenades, coming back, buffing the floor with the floor buffer. Going out to the land nav course, reading the maps, using the compass, going back, buffing the floor with the floor buffer. Okay. Shows him getting promoted. You know, he goes from private E1 to private E2, buffing the floor with the floor buffer. And just every step in his military career was followed by buffing the floor with the floor buffer. Driving a tank, buffing the floor with the floor buffer. Just all the way up until his retirement ceremony. So he retires from the military, gets out of the military, shows him working in the school as a janitor, buffing the floor with the floor buffer.
Well, he has experience. Of course, I've also been told that in the Army, when you're in basic, they say, how many of you guys can drive a truck? You end up pushing a wheelbarrow. If you say you don't know how to drive a truck, you end up driving the truck.
Hey, they got to train you. You know, that's
Zach's gone quiet on us.
I just don't have anything to add. Canada, you never hear about our military unless they're flooding.
actually, I can tell you something about the Canadian military that you might not know. After, let's see, what is it? 50, after 75 years, they are finally upgrading to a new pistol.
Okay.
They have been using the FN Browning high power 9mm pistol as their military sidearm since 1947, 45, 47, I can't remember which, and are finally switching over to a 6-SAUG. And the only reason they're switching over, they've used up all the spare parts and cannibalized as many of the FN9 powers as they've got. They're like, we can't fix them anymore.
That sounds like our military.
Now, Browning says we quit making that pistol 50 years ago.
70 years ago.
Nobody at Browning knows that pistol ever existed.
Yeah, there's still copies of them. You can still buy a copy of the Browning high power out there, but just, yeah, no military contracts, I don't think. I can remember the first time I saw a Canadian armored personnel carrier, which is just like the American M113 personnel carrier. Except I got to looking at it, they don't have 50 caliber machine guns on theirs. They've got the Browning 30 caliber machine gun. The 1917 A5, which is shoots the NATO ammo instead of the old 30-06 stuff. They had that, and I was like, we had M60s. We were switching to the M240 30 caliber machine guns. They're still using the one that was used during World War II, and it's still a damn good machine gun. So
It's not broke, don't fix it.
We're still using it because we don't go many places, so we haven't used what we've got.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, if anybody ever picks a war with Canada, U.S. is gonna just jump in and whoop their ass for them.
Oh yeah, we don't. I don't even want to think of how small.
You
our
don't get to
military
screw
is
with our
now.
little brother. That's our job.
Exactly.
Well,
And then we'll apologize on your behalf.
now, World War II, what America did for England was just absolutely legally America before Japan attacked us. America could not supply arms to people. They couldn't fly the airplanes into British territory.
right.
But there's this airport, I think it's in Minnesota or North Dakota. There's two airports right close together. I mean, right on the border. So Roosevelt told Churchill, yeah, you can have the airplanes, but we can't bring them to you, and you can't fly them out of America. You can, however, tow them across the border and fly them out. And America cut the fence down so they could haul the airplanes out.
They had to push them across by hand.
That's ridiculous. But awesome.
And the American guys just sort of sat there and watched. Now, can you imagine pushing a B-24 bomber?
Well, if I remember, it was a bunch of P-40s. Was what they. Yeah.
They just had to call in the Ukrainian farmers with their tractors and they'd be all set.
Strangely enough, the same thing is sort of happening now. We're giving Ukraine all these weapons.
We can't do anything, but they're parked on your border.
Well,
Yet.
somebody truck bombed a major bridge into it.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, Joe. I want to show y'all something real quick. Give me a second. Keep talking.
Yeah, it was a pretty big boom, and then they lit a train on fire as well.
So
Well,
I
isn't
said,
that
hey, Bob, it's
nuclear
my
power?
life, and I've wanted to live on a beach and walk around naked. Oh, sorry.
You're watching
Nobody?
the wrong news channel, Rich.
And again, on Stupid O'Clock, you never know what we're going to say.
Muppets Take Manhattan. Seriously, nobody got that? I can understand Zach. He's young.
Joe, throw that up there for me.
Don't think I've ever watched a Muppets movie in its entirety.
All right. That's Ukraine, of course. There's Kiev. Here's Kiev. This down here, that's the Crimean Peninsula. Okay. This is all Russia. Oh, I'm sorry. There's the border. Here's Russia. This is Russia. This is that bridge that just got hit. As you can see, it is the only connection in the south that Russia has with Crimea. Everything else basically has to go through the war zone, which is about to be cut off because the Ukrainians have been coming down through here.
And then somebody just drove a truck bomb out there and blew the bridge up.
Did I post that to Stupid O'Clock? I couldn't
I
remember.
saw it somewhere. I don't know where it was.
But it showed this big tractor trailer rig heading down the bridge, and it got right to the part where it's supposed to start going uphill and over that big boat crossing part. Boom! Sparks everywhere.
It was Hogan's Heroes that did it.
The only thing is, the bridge partially reopened already tonight.
The way it's set up, there's this lane that was going toward Crimea. There's this lane coming back from Crimea, and then there was a train bridge on the southernmost part. It blew up on this side. The section that's coming out of Crimea is still okay. The train bridge took some damage from fire because there was an oil tanker. There was a fuel train sitting on the bridge when it exploded, and it caught fire and did some damage. That part of the bridge, I'm not sure how bad, but apparently they got that train out of there. They've reopened the train bridge, and they're using that one part of the bridge that's still good as the main. They got traffic going both ways on the one-way part of the bridge,
And they're not letting any trucks go across them.
unless it's a military truck.
What a smart idea.
They got checkpoints at both ends now.
I was
Yeah,
going
I
to
was
say,
actually-
when's the second truck coming through?
I was actually hoping that they'd done it with harpoon missiles or their own Neptune missiles. Because a lot of those anti-ship missiles can actually target big enough land targets if you can get a radar lock on them. And a bridge with a train on it is a pretty good radar target.
Or just the semi driving down.
Or semi-truck, of course, truck bomber.
Could they arm a drone with enough explosives to take out that train bridge? Theoretically, or maybe even a couple of them.
With their drones, probably not. Because I don't think they got anything that would carry a heavy enough ordnance to get it in one shot.
Yeah, their drones can't, but I believe ours could.
Matter of fact, they just came out new. Now they're testing a new Hellfire missile just for the Predator drones. Has 3 times the range. So it's got that big damn anti-tank warhead on the front, and it'll go 3 times farther now. So that puts it at somewhere between 15 and 18 kilometers now. Not bad for a helicopter.
Well, you've seen the Navy's new drone that they want to land on an aircraft carrier, didn't you?
Yeah.
Looks like a miniature B-2 bomber.
Yeah, they've been playing around with that for a long. They had this one that was supposedly going to be a manned bomber that was going to replace the A6 Intruder,
Yeah.
and it looked like a flying wing. Apparently, this drone is an offshoot of that program, and the idea being is that you can send a manned plane in, like the F-35, controlling the drone bomber, get in close, protect the drone bomber with the F-35, and then send the drone bomber in to attack the target. And if it gets shot down, you didn't lose any people, which is smart. Until Skynet takes over.
Yeah. And when was that supposed to happen?
It already did.
Yeah, we've already passed that date.
Called Facebook. Really? Try complaining about something on Facebook. Guess what? It's a robot. Okay. We don't have any people available because we've already killed them. Dun 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 dun.
Of course, the Borg and they've been assimilated.
You know, that looking at Mark Zuckerberg, that explains a lot.
Or if you want to go into Doctor Who, Cybermen.
Yeah, what Cybermen's, Daleks say exterminate.
Cybermen say delete.
Deleted.
Delete.
What are we going to do?
That's a good question. I'm out of something.
Remember basic electromagnetism 101? and overclock a lot of the small boostable electromagnets to basically simulate an EMP without being a true EMP.
Oh, I've heard something about that. It's some bomb or missile they've got now that they're working on.
It can be done non-explosively. I've seen the videos, and I've been really tempted to attempt the process myself. Whenever I am a quarter mile away from the individuals with their base pumped up so far that it's actually performing chest compressions. Not having a heart attack, you don't need to try to resuscitate me with crappy music. If your music was good, you'd want to listen to it to a volume that you could actually hear everything. But otherwise, it's just what the hell? What the hell?
Oh, you know, you hear those cars going by, and you hear that. Do you know what's causing that? The license plate.
I was about to say something being vibrated loose.
Yeah. Oh, dang.
Hang on a minute. Let me show you. It took out this panel, disconnected it from the other panel, broke this one. That's where the bomb went off. It was right in this area. Set fire to the train. Apparently, they pulled all the other bits of the train away once this part caught fire, because it was a much longer train when the bomb exploded, and it exploded at night. For those of you who don't know, and then you see that panel not only fell but twisted because it's still hanging on this support. So it's. And I was trying to look at it. I can't figure out which way the water's going. It looks like the water's flowing this way toward the top of the picture. So it's going to push these panels up in there. It'll probably take out both sections of that bridge eventually, unless they can cut that loose with explosives.
Now, I hate to say any kind of destruction is awesome, but that's awesome.
It is. I just hate to think that some guy gave his life for that.
Yeah.
But it's either sit at home and have the Russians throw a missile at you or go out and do something about it. So.
Well, he did something. Oh.
Now, what I'm wondering is if Ukraine actually had anything to do with it, if the government of Ukraine actually had anything to do with it. Because consequently, Russia just busted an Islamic terrorist group in Russia, in that area, the day before. And it was a big news story in Russia at the time. See, our police are out stopping Islamic terrorism. Next day, boom!
In their style.
In their style.
They probably missed one.
It was 2 lanes on the north part of the bridge. The 2 lanes on the south part of the bridge survived, and the train bridge, part of the train up top, caught fire because it was carrying fuel. I don't know if it actually damaged it with the explosion or if it was sympathetic from the fire from the explosion and just the train caught fire. But either way, the train bridge is in trouble too because it took a lot of heat damage, and it's a steel bridge. It says it's open for limited use at this time, and you notice there wasn't any traffic on it when the picture was taken.
Yeah. I think we lost Zach.
Oh, he'll be back.
Yeah. Probably hit the wrong button.
I do that far too often.
Give me your clothes, your boots, and the keys to
He's
your
been busy
motorcycle.
He's had he had to cover 2 launches today.
I think. Let me look real quick, see when the next thing going up. Yeah, there it is. Let's see, Rock Cosmos, a Soyuz, and then on Thursday, another Falcon 9, Hotbird 13F. Okay, what is that, Zach?
Talk toward your mic, Joe. I can barely hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. What is Hotbird 13F?
Which one, sorry?
The next Falcon 9 is launching Hotbird 13F.
Well, let's
Give me 30 seconds.
Is a European Space Agency telecommunications satellite manufactured by Airbus for satellite operator Eutelsat in a ESA partnership project designed to foster innovation and competitiveness in the European space industry.
Nailed it.
It's a French satellite. When they launch it, it goes, wee!
I surrendered.
Now,
When is that one? I'm not seeing that one on my schedule.
Joe?
it is Thursday, October 13th.
And SpaceX is launching it, yes?
I'm wondering if that's still the plan, because I just checked and ours updated 10 minutes ago and does not have that listed anymore.
Oh,
So that might be out of date. I don't have that one. Let me see if I have it listed anywhere.
next space flight is where I pulled it.
Yeah, I'll check that because I'm not seeing it in our system. Okay, we still have it as TBD, so it might have moved, or they might have literally just made that decision. One of the two, because a few different places I'm checking don't have it. So.
Okay. Of
But
course,
There's a
October,
bunch.
October 28th is a big launch.
So excited.
Do you know if that's going to be a daytime launch or?
I don't think we've been told the window yet.
Okay.
I haven't heard anything of the window. I know we just heard yesterday. They just opened media stuff yesterday, so hopefully we will know more soon. But we are expecting double return to landing site.
That is just so cool.
If Artemis wasn't 2.5 weeks later, I would be there. But Artemis sadly takes priority over Falcon Heavy.
Yeah.
There's going to be 15 to 20 more of these in the next 4 years. There may be 2 more Artemis in the same time. So. Now, if this would like to wait 2 more weeks, it's waited 3 years, I will accept.
Oh, yeah.
I don't ask for scrubs often, but just 2 weeks. And how good would it look to have this on 39A and then an SLS on 39B? And then you have to go throw a normal Falcon 9 on 40 and then an Atlas 5 on 41.
And have a race.
Exactly.
First one to order.
First one to Mars.
Yeah.
First one across the Kármán line.
Last one across the Kármán line buys a beer.
There you go.
Well, I got a feeling the Atlas would probably give the Falcon Heavy a run.
Yeah, Falcon Heavy's heavy.
Heavy, man.
But the Falcon will actually, I mean, they're what, first stage separation at what?
5.5 minutes.
No. Yeah. It's fast. They touched down at like 7, 8 minutes. So
Yeah, 8 minutes from launch, it's already on the boat.
yeah.
Okay. Enough rocket talk. Have you heard that there is going to be a new Velma series, animated series? It is not for kids.
Of course not.
It's like Mystery Inc. going after serial killers, and I mean it's
The same way that they bastardized Nancy Drew on the CW.
something like that. Only it's animated.
Mhm.
It's fairly gory from what I've seen so far.
I'm assuming Adult Swim.
Excuse me.
So I'm assuming it would have to be Adult Swim.
Let me look that up.
Yeah, you can put that on regular TV.
I think I could spell a 5-letter word. Oh.
HBO Max, maybe. I see
Oh, hang on a
an
second.
autocomplete for Velma HBO Max.
Yes, HBO Max.
Okay, that explains a lot.
Well, have you heard Showtime? The Showtime app is going to merge with Paramount Plus at the end of the year. Paramount
None of
Plus-
these companies are making enough money on their own, or what's the reasons?
They're probably getting bought out by each other.
a lot of these streaming services aren't selling as well as they are, but they got enough. They got enough to warrant another streaming service taking them on. Excuse me.
There's a lot of places that there's only so much of their catalog that the viewers are willing to go ahead and buy, and then they're like, well, you know what, I'm going to drop you for 3 months while I, go over here binge this with this. So they're tracking the records on subscriptions to see who the best partner would be.
Well, according to this, Zach's, flipped another breaker, and he's going to jump out for the night. He said he's going to see if he can find out what's drawing too much power. Zach, it's the power of stupid o'clock. It's what's drawing all your power.
It's the Keurig.
We are a power vampire.
Actually, I've heard some bad stuff about stuff going on down in Florida that's sucking up internet bandwidth because of all the power lines and everything's down.
Well, there's a lot of places down there people don't have cell phone reception. They can't call people across the state.
And
Well, I'm going to tell you, if the internet's so bad that in Florida it's knocking Zach out in Canada, we're all in trouble.
where's most of his feed coming from?
Yeah.
But apparently, as they're repairing stuff down there, it's knocking stuff out and bringing stuff back up, and it's just playing Mary Hobb with all the.
I was just being a smartass guessing the Keurig.
It's the Russians.
Yeah. Zach says it. He said it started happening after he plugged Keurig, so it's probably possible.
Yeah, Keurig will draw a good bit of power occasionally.
Of course, he says it's very true. If that's impact from Florida, we all have no hope. Okay.
Well, it's like a battery. You got a positive end and a negative end, and unless you can connect them, it don't do nothing.
Now,
Florida's the negative end.
The
a
week
lot of things.
hurricane hit, John, did you notice all the utility trucks headed down 75?
I've seen a few of them. I've seen a few of them coming back, and they're heading up toward South Carolina, North Carolina area, because apparently those guys sent all their trucks to Florida, and then the hurricane went up the coast and then hit the area they just sent the trucks from. So now they're all turning around and having to head back up to South Carolina, North Carolina.
We come to help you, but now we got troubles in our own backyard.
Well, EPB, our local utility company, has 3 crews that is dedicated to relief.
Yeah, Ameren, our power company up here in Central Illinois, sent down, I can't remember how many hundred people and trucks to go down there to Fort Myers Beach.
Down here at in Ringgold, Interstate 75 runs right through the middle of Ringgold, and there's a bunch of hotels right there at that exit. So we get to see a bunch of those guys heading down, and a bunch of the refugees, I don't know if that's the right word for it, evacuees that leave Florida come up here and hang out in Chattanooga for a week until they can head back home. So we got a bunch of those hanging out at these hotels down here in Ringgold. And I've been seeing tourists in the grocery store lately. So that's...
they at Hamilton Place, they built that new boutique hotel where Sears used to be.
I thought that was going to be a Dick's Sporting Goods.
Well, Dick's is there, but it's right next to Dave Buster's. There's like a 5-story hotel sitting there now.
That ought to tell you how often I go to Hamilton Place.
Yeah.
No, well, I haven't seen it. So.
I had to take a shortcut across the parking lot to get to 75. And that whole parking lot, that corner of the mall area, was lineman truck.
We get those Ingles. I'll see them. They park the trucks at Ingles and then walk down to the hotel.
But yeah, it's unreal. And then it was, I forget what hurricane it was that was coming up through the Gulf. Chattanooga is FEMA's southern waypoint.
Yeah, staging area. They anytime they're going to send a truck down to say Florida or New Orleans, if they're going to New Orleans, Memphis is the staging point. Memphis or I think it's mainly Memphis, but I was going to say Jackson, but I'm not sure about that anymore. Either Meridian or Jackson. I can't remember which was the other one. And then I'm thinking now it's Meridian, because Meridian has a naval air station and they can fly stuff in if they need it in an emergency. But Chattanooga is one for the same reason. We have an airport, National Guard facilities, and 2 interstates, and trains, boats, trains, planes, and automobiles.
Oh, do you remember the train loads of home campers, basically, for Katrina?
Mm-hmm.
A trailer is only built to be run in one direction. Railroad found out the hard way.
Aerodynamically, they're only designed to go one direction.
Yeah.
But they loaded them onto this train backwards.
Well, they loaded one forward and the next one backward. The one that was going backwards, all the siding came off of them. Yeah, they only did that once.
That'll learn you, darn you.
They called them FEMA trailers. And you can see those things in campgrounds now.
I think I lived in one in Iraq back in 2008.
Yeah, they had a lot of problems with those. They mass produced them so fast, they didn't have time to air them out.
And you opened it up and it was like getting hit in the face with a can of paint thinner.
Well, paint thinner and formaldehyde and all the glues.
Yeah, walking into a cloud of formaldehyde is not fun.
Imagine trying to live in a house full of formaldehyde.
Used to work in a plastic factory. One of the plastics that we worked with is called HallowCon's. It's an acetylene. If it sits on the heat for too long, it gives off pure formaldehyde gas. Well, we'd have operators that would not pay attention or would purposely disable the presses so that things would slow down so they could catch stuff up, thereby dumping formaldehyde gas in a 30 to 50 foot radius around the press. I was the only one with enough lung capacity to go in, purge the press out without having to keep coming back out for breaths. And I was still a smoker at the time.
Hey, Joe.
Yeah.
Did you know that the Cybertruck is amphibious?
No.
Apparently, it's waterproof enough that it can float through water. The only problem is that it doesn't have paddle tires to help it move. So it would benefit if you had a propeller on it somewhere. Or a trolling motor. But
well, it is rated for biochemical attack, so I guess it would be sealed up enough to float.
I wonder if that's going to be the new military truck.
What do you want to bet it's going to be the new lunar rover?
I posted that stupid blog.
I'll have to check that out.
There. Okay, that one worked. I've been having a problem lately. It'll let me share stuff to the group, Stupid O'Clock, but it won't let me share to the page.
Have you seen any of your Facebook friends, the numbers, like say if you have 2,500 friends, all of a sudden it starts going down and down and down by the day, and then for 2 or 3 days, and then another day it'll go back up, and then another day it'll go down a couple more.
Bill, those are the ones that are in Facebook jail, and then they get out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, I've got about 30 friends that are currently in Facebook jail.
Okay. Back in a moment.
Oh. You mean like Brian?
Yeah. I gotta check, see if he's still on there. Yeah, it's really strange. And then all of a sudden I get hit with like 5 or 6 friend requests. And that, which are usually mutual friends of either like you guys or
Hey, Blake.
Blake.
Yeah, I saw that picture you got. You're gonna need to get with Chris when you get there. because Chris will be handling all the auction items, or we got a staff meeting on October 16th. If you want to bring it down, so we can get a head start on that. October next Sunday. Yeah, got to take care of the HallowCon business first, Bill. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm going to have to be getting out for the reasons that I told you backstage. Got to be ready by 7 a.m. and that coming a little bit earlier these days. I think all the cold weather we're having up here is making me want to sleep a little bit more later, but not going to be able to do it tomorrow. But you guys have a good evening, and everybody else, Blake and Zach, Sarah, Chris, everybody out there, and that we just have a blessed evening, the rest that you have, and we'll see you soon. Bye, con Dios.
Take it light. Good luck to you. Thank you, kiddo.
Thanks for chilling.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
So, Rich,
Yes, sir.
you're IT guy or
IT help desk for a little over 10, and then IT technical trainer for the past 10, which is basically help desk and teaching people how to use their machines and the software.
yeah,
Teaching people how to use their machines over and over and over again.
Sometimes, yes.
and John probably knows who I'm talking about. We got an IT, or I got a friend who's IT for a manufacturer of sharp instruments in this area. It's sort of cold.
Oh.
But he's their IT guy, and they also have a YouTube channel that is almost like the Home Shopping Network. And he showed something the other day that now when he makes up a Cat 5 cord or a Cat 6 or whatever it is now, instead of having, like the blue end or the yellow end or whatever, he's got purple, green, yellow, orange, red. And when he plugs them, when he makes the connection, he's also got a map of where each color is going. Which, I think that's pretty cool.
It's an intelligent way to do it. It's I've seen a lot of friends who had to do the patching of cables and stuff like that. What they would do is they would take the color zip ties, and if the company was only buying one color cord, then at the end it'd be like, okay, red goes into user ports, blue goes into guest ports, and then yellow does this, white is our telecom, stuff like that. So
yeah, well, it makes sense. That way you don't have to try to. I'm like, did that do it? No. Okay. Did that do it? No. Like tripping breakers.
And the other thing is when you have a new rack that you're putting in, stuff like that, so that you don't have to unplug every single patch cord and figure out what goes where and stuff like that. It's easier to track back and go, okay, everything in this rack, we see have the white ends. We know this is all telecom, so we don't touch this rack right now because it's not a telecom issue. It's an issue with this network or that network.
Okay, I just got a message from Blake. All right. But yeah, thanks for dropping in, Blake. We appreciate it. Uh, Carrie, if you want to drop in, you can drop in for a little while. It's just the three of us now.
What happened to Bill?
Bill had to go get some sleep for family.
He's got the early morning for the family thing.
Darn family stuff. Oh. I'm sorry. I'm sending people jokes.
Okay. I just sent Carrie a link.
Oh, I thought he was on our group.
I don't know if he is or not.
You need to fix that.
Yeah, well, I'm going to run down the hall. Hey, it's not like I made it 75 minutes this time. Excuse me. Oh. Alright, I'll be right back.
Type.
That's me on a daily basis, but yeah, that's dyslexia for you.
Well, that, and I've got a couple keys that are not as quite as crisp as they used to be on the keyboard. One of them's a K.
Yeah, I've got a couple keys on the firm laptop that don't play nice in the sandbox anymore because of repetitive typing.
I have no idea what I've done to hit K so much. Maybe that's the problem. I don't hit it enough. It's mad at me. I mean, W, A, S, and D, I can understand those going out. You know,
Yeah.
But K?
Depending on the keyboard, it might also be that it's not seeing the depress of the key enough. If you're typing fast, sometimes you're lightly hitting a key. It feels like you've got a good key press on it, but it's not enough of a depression.
Hi, Carrie.
Hello.
I just sent Brian a message. So, let's see here if I can fix this real quick.
Well, if you're sending Kiri a bunch of messages and Brian a bunch of messages, that explains why you're hitting K a lot.
You know, it does, doesn't it? Let's see here. Let me go find this and bring it up. Here we go.
Phenomena.
Do, 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 do.
So in EMS school, the proper term for a blood pressure cuff is a sphygmometer.
Right.
But of course, every time they say sphygmometer, everyone else in class, especially everyone that I sat with, heard phenomena. So all of a sudden they'd be like talking about sphygmometer. Do 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 do. Stop that. Do 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 do. I said stop it.
I heard that Brian was in Facebook jail, so I sent him a cake with a file in it.
Oh. That's bad.
I'll be here till Thursday. And I'll still be here.
I finally got to meet him and Donna and Carl and Michaela today.
You posted
Nice.
now. Where were they all? Just
So Nick Tockert, his wife is the director of the Benton County Library over
Right.
in Fowler, Indiana. So they had the Benton County Library Con, aka BuzzCon. So Brian was out to that, and Donna and Carl came out. And Michaela originally said she probably wasn't going to stop by, and then stopped by anyway.
I think she does that on purpose, just to build
Possibly.
up the drama. I don't think I can be there. Ta-da! You know, it's like,
But it was cool to finally meet him in person.
hey Joe, I gotta move the chair here. I made Brian a cake with a file in it. Okay, I'll change the picture now.
Okay, now I can. Did you send that to Brian?
I did.
Hey, Kerry, how you doing, bud?
I'm alright. How are you guys doing?
Not too terrible.
I'm here.
Right side of the green. Anything else is getting greedy. As my grandma used to say, any day you can bitch about's a good one.
Yeah. Hey, as long as I stay on this side of the green, I'm good.
That was Grandma's view of it as well, you know. And even the bad days make the good days even better in memory, and even sweeter when they return once again.
I also heard a good saying, and this is one that you'll like, Rich. You have survived 100% of the worst days of your life. Keep up the good work.
That is a good way to look at it too.
Uh-oh, Kerry's up to something.
Well, I'm never not up to something.
Oh, so you didn't get to see the beginning of the show, did you?
Mm-mm.
You're going to have to watch the replay.
Okay. I might have to.
Oh, I can't wait till Carl watches the show.
Oh no. Oh, I'm just rewinding the stream right now. Hoo boy.
No, I bought my first laptop. It was a Toshiba Cosmio. And it was nice. It was a gaming laptop. Had the high resolution video, widescreen, all sorts of. It had this really neat feature. You didn't have to turn on the computer to use it as a DVD player to save battery power. You could just put the DVD in, turn it on, and it had keys up there just for running it as a DVD player.
That would be nice.
It also had the first one I got, the one I liked, not the second one, had the tray CD, DVD, burner, reader, everything like that would pop out. Okay. It had a door. The later ones had the slot with no tray. I don't like those because you can't play the small CD DVDs. And a lot of my old software programs came on mini DVDs, and you can't put those in the slot ones. My Garmin GPS program disc was a mini disc. It had a manual volume control, little knob on the side. If you wanted to fire up your laptop in the middle of the night, you could turn the volume all the way down. They don't do that anymore. Now, if you left your computer volume at max, when you turn it on in the middle of the night, it bah, 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 bah. You know, it's
That's why 90% of the time headphones are plugged into my computer.
mine pretty much stays set on headset now.
What? You just lost audio.
Who?
You got real quiet.
Oh, did I? Oh, it's probably because I'm not talking to something. I just realized I left my headset on. No.
Oof.
All right, but you got. Is it me, Rich, or did he get quiet?
I'd say he lost about 25 to 50% volume.
I still heard John a little bit.
Yeah, I heard him, but it's he did lose some measure of volume. But luckily his voice register is in the range where I'm not having hearing loss, so I can still hear him no problem.
Thank you.
The problem is my wife's voice is in the register where I'm losing my hearing.
Mine is too. Of course, 30 years of being around heavy equipment.
Between all the mortar shells, machine guns, rifle shots, and explosions that I've had to put up with, I learned a long time ago to speak so that all the people with tinnitus can hear me. Because pretty much everybody I worked with would go, "What?
What?
Eh?"
Oh, I'm going to try to find. Of course, I don't have a CD burner now, but in fact, this computer doesn't even have an optical drive on it.
You can buy those external. You just plug them into a USB port.
Yeah, I got.
$25 from Amazon.
They don't cost nothing.
But I'm thinking of burning a CD of the tinnitus sound and turning it just to the right point in the car so she can hear what I hear, and just leave it that way for a road trip.
Drink water. Strangely enough, staying hydrated is very important when you have tinnitus. It keeps the tinnitus down. If you get dehydrated, it gets worse.
Oh, I can't go to. I got to have something playing in the room, TV or something. I mean, because silence drives me insane.
Oh yeah.
We have our you-know-who friend from Mr. Bezos playing sleep sounds. We actually paid for the license for it so we can actually merge the sounds that it has. So we use campfire and rain, or campfire and waterfall, depending on our mood.
They don't have ceiling fan?
I believe actually they might have a fan. I think they've got train, they've got a cityscape, they've got sirens, they've got so many different outside themes. It's not even funny. My favorites are Mountain Lake and Fire.
Professor?
Pardon me?
Do they have business finance professor? It's just a business finance professor doing a lecture.
I was going to say, you can probably just tune to MSNBC for that.
C-SPAN.
Oh, YouTube.
Oh yeah, the ones I love is 10 hours of Starship noises. It's like you go to YouTube and you look these up, and they'll have like 10 hours of the Starship Enterprise engine noise. Nothing else, just woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, they've got a couple of good ones like that.
No, I need to make one of those up, but probably at hour 5 or 6. Throw in a red alert.
That's how you wake up in the morning.
I actually have my you know who front for Mr. Bezos set up so that if I say her name and red alert, that it'll actually play the klaxon and turn the living room lights to red.
Oh, yeah, I want smart bulbs, but my wife won't approve the expenditure.
$8 to $13 a pop at Menards usually.
Yeah, well, she fusses when I buy 4 light bulbs at that same price because I like light bulbs.
Yeah, it's when we were still at our old house. 3 lights in the living room, light in the dining room, 4 lights in the kitchen, although 2 were just white. We had floodlights that would do multicolor. Our hallway, all 3 bedrooms, and our utility room and our front porch were all set up with Fight Electric's smart bulbs. So we could even go, you know what? It's Christmas time. Let's go ahead and turn half the lights in the living room to red and the other half to green.
And you can also dim them, right?
Yeah. And actually, I have a routine set up so that 45 minutes before sundown, that the bulbs for the living room will turn on at 50%.
So you don't really notice it getting dark.
So that when it's about time for it to start to get dark, that I'm not sitting there suddenly going, "What the hell happened?" Because I will get sucked into something and I'll forget that time exists.
Yeah. Now, when we go camping, I have something that's called a bucket light. You get a white 5-gallon bucket, and you wire it up with the screw-in light bulb to go in it, and then you hang it up in a tree. But the bulb I've got is one of those 300-watt equivalent CFL bulbs. Talk about lighting up stuff at night.
I was going to say, no reason there's the white bucket.
Yeah.
That would help diffuse it quite a bit.
Yeah. Of course, Home Depot now sells 1,000-watt equivalent LED.
Dear Mother of God.
And it only draws like 110 watts.
Are you trying to land alien craft?
Yeah.
That kind of light bulb leave a crater.
Now, I remember buying the million candle power spotlight that would plug into your cigarette lighter.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you how many fuses I blew out because of that. And we'd use that for those jerks who don't realize that there is a dimmer switch, and those super bright halogen light bulbs, that you can see from 3 miles away, really hurt at 500 feet.
Now, that is an aircraft landing bulb. Is what it is.
Strangely enough, a friend of mine, we were walking through a Red Bank Army store back in the day, and they had a actuated aircraft landing light from some sort of cargo airplane. And when I say actuated, it still had the motor mount for it, when they'll swivel out of the landing gear bay and light the landing for the aircraft. He bought that for like $50 and wired it in his car as the brake check light. It's for people that got in behind him with the high beams on.
My best friend. So he didn't have it wired this way, but he had we call it the Pimp Mobile. So it was a 77 Cutlass that he bought that the person before had the little dingle balls all around the inside, zebra stripe headliner, stuff like that. Well, they installed a switch.
Did they have a disco ball?
Actually, I think there was a little disco ball hanging from the rearview mirror. They installed a toggle switch so that they could go ahead and hit that, and the reverse lights would come on. Reverse lights would come on normally if you went into reverse, but basically what he would do, or what it was for, is for the people who are coming up too close on you or had their brights on, you kick that on, and all of a sudden they're slamming on their brakes because reverse lights are coming right at them, and they're like, oh my God, and the car is still driving forward. It's just that reaction of reverse lights, oh my God, I got to get out of the way. That was fun to use.
I love the kill switch on my tail lights. On my Chevelle. If I would, have, I had a 72 Chevelle Super Sport. I was 18, 19 years old. You know what we were doing. And when one of the people that ride around in these cars that don't like you doing that would drop in on me, I could flip off the tail lights and the brake lights at night and kill the headlights if I needed to. Then pull a crazy Ivan on his ass. Nothing more fun is to shake one, and then as you think he's gone, pull back out and pull up behind him. It's like, oh shit. Which way does he go? Which way does he go? If he turns one way, we turn the other. Yeah, we did stupid stuff. Of course, I also learned you can't outrun a Motorola.
You can if you have a radar jammer or phone jammer or radio jammer.
Yeah, John knew what I was talking about. Yeah, you can't do that now.
Sure you can.
No, they got. It's weird. They key up on one channel and transmit on another.
I do not have the specialized set of skills to do that, but there are folks that do.
Yeah.
And you can buy them Army surplus. Anyway, if you know where to shop.
Oh, Red Bank Army store. The building's still there. Stuff's still in it. They're just never open.
I believe the owner passed.
But they sold the drop tank.
Oh,
It's gone. Oh, shoot, guys, I'm tired.
oh.
I don't think we're going to go into extra innings tonight.
Yeah, I stayed up late in the green room last night and then drove 2 hours out to the convention. Stayed there for a while. BS with Nick, his wife Manda, and BKM for another probably hour or two. Went to dinner with Nick and Manda. Got home just before my wife did. So yeah, I'm kind of beat myself today.
Did he have a good crowd turnout, or?
For what it was, it wasn't bad. It was a really good test run. I think almost everyone sold at least something off their table. So they're thinking of doing another one. They're thinking of wanting to try to do it like every 6 months or so. So the next time everything comes around for it, I might actually show up with a bunch of the dice bags and crosses and Thor's hammers that I make, and see if anyone wants to buy any cutesy, kitschy chainmail crap.
Yeah, that sounds fun. Have you made the chainmail bikinis yet?
I will have to
Decline.
decline any requests for something of that nature, simply because I have to sleep sometime and my wife knows where the frying pans are. But yeah, I don't think Misty would be comfortable with me doing something like that, so therefore I wouldn't do something like that. Now, shirts, vests, stuff like that, I haven't had a chance to try to make any yet. I am actually working on practicing. In fact, I actually made something to make things a little easier for making it. So basically, nails to go ahead and hang the links off of, to go ahead and drape and see how everything is going to look as far as the flow for sheets that would go into making shirts and coifs and stuff like that.
You're using aluminum rings, right?
Currently, I am using aluminum. My suppliers, I do have the ability to get stainless steel or copper. But if anyone is going to be wearing this stuff and wearing it all day long at that, pardon me, their best bet is to go with the aluminum rings, or let me supplement every so many rings with, they're basically, they're the same gauge and same inner diameter, but they're basically a little rubber band. They're a very high strength rubber band, so that one, you get a little bit of stretchiness, so that, you know, if you put on 5-10 pounds, you can still get your chain shirt on and not be like, oh my god, you know, I wasted, you know, the hundreds of dollars that it costs for all the materials to squeeze yourself into one of these things. You know, so that they're not out that. And also, if they're going for, you know, like a stainless or something like that, it'll cut down on the weight, because, you know, you're only at 3/4 of the rings instead of, you know, all of them in the steel.
Yeah.
But yeah, the aluminum are so much lighter, it's not even funny.
Now, are they just as strong?
So if they wanted to go out and LARP and stuff like that, they are probably better going with the steel, simply because these can take the aluminum can take some hits and stuff like that, but if it's repeated hits, they're going to start to deform because aluminum is a softer metal and easier to go ahead and bend and stuff like that. If you're just being smacked with foam weapons, aluminum might be perfectly fine. But if you're doing something more SCA where they're actually using rattan, or in some of the demos they'll actually use live steel. But the battles are usually rattan wrapped in duct tape and stuff like that. You are better off going with the stronger material.
Sorry, I'm not. You're not boring me. It's just running out of steam.
I know.
Yeah. I ended up almost pulling a Dan last night when I was doing my stream. I was trying to do some code, and I just about dozed off doing code, like literally trying to learn.
More of the try hack me stuff, or
no, it's actually going to be free code. It's free code camp this time, but I'm still working on the try hack me stuff.
so which language were we working on last night?
I was going into HTML, CSS,
Okay.
seeing how rusty I was compared to the last time I was learning it.
I do the same thing with Python. Every once in a while, pull up my notebook and go, okay, where did I leave off? All right, that looks like Greek. Let's go back a few pages. Okay, yeah, I understand this, and then go back to where I was grabbing my stuff from.
Yeah, I'm hoping I'm gonna have an easier time learning Python this time after I finish with my web design certification.
Python is one of the easier languages for most people to learn out there, simply because it reads a lot like English. If you have no idea how to code and you look at a batch of Python code, you can get you might not know the exact of what things are happening, but you can usually get a really good feel for, I think this is what's happening, and be somewhere in the 75% right ballpark.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I know that Python's pretty easy to learn.
Humble Bundle every so often will have, actually they'll have a bunch of coding tutorials and books and stuff like that out there, but they tend to put out a lot of Python stuff every year. And the nice thing about that is almost every Python bundle will have a couple of how to use Python in security and how to use Python for gray hat hacking or white hat hacking.
Yeah, it's pretty useful language to use when you're hacking for sure.
It's really easy if you are also trying to figure out, okay, I've got 10 terabytes of information here. How much of this is doubled? And finding out that, and also going, you know what? I need to have all of these image files across the entire computer moved into this one folder over here, and just queue up your code and then get it to go ahead and move all that stuff for you. It's really great at automating the stuff that is boring as hell. In fact, I think one of the books I have is Coding the Boring Stuff or something like that. And it talks about using Python to do that exact kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
I like HTML. I can understand it.
Oh, yeah. HTML is fun.
Of course, I found out there's an online tester to where you can write your code and see it happen real time. the way you could adjust it and move it. Of course, then you copy and paste, put it over on your website, and it's completely wrong.
That might be because of weird things going on with your host and stuff like that as well. So,
Oh, dang.
but there's a lot of great sites out there that there's one for Python that you can actually put everything in and do it on screen. There's one for SQL as well, or for those who like to pronounce every single letter of it, SQL. Yeah, it's coding is interesting. It's fun. It's really neat to look under the hood. I wrote some code for our LMS at work, so LMS is learning management system. So it's a program that allows us to load e-learning into, so our folks can go back and watch videos on Microsoft Office products or any of the other applications that we use that content's been created for. We've got 3 different portions of the LMS, though. We've got one for the business professionals for just general soft skills type things. We've got one for our attorneys for CLE, which is continuing legal education, because they have to get so many hours of that every year in order to go ahead and keep their bar association accreditation and all that. But the other one we have is for IT stuff. But the click here for which portion that they need to jump to almost matches the background image. So if you don't have that great of eyesight, or if you have an issue where you need high contrast, you can't see the click here. So you're moving your mouse until you see your arrow go to a little finger pointer and like, okay, this is where I click. For those people that remember that, it'll change from an arrow to a little finger when you're doing something that you can click, because not everybody remembers that. But I'm like, just make it red or make it yellow, make it stand out. It's contrast so people can actually read the click here. And they're like, no, we like it this way. Why? Sorry, got pedantic there for a moment.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It makes sense because, they want you put up a button that, how can they click the button if they can't see it?
Yep. I'm all about making things easier for the users, because I understand that if it's too hard or too far or too many clicks, the users are going to say F that, except they're going to use the actual word. You want the users to do X, Y, Z. We've got the capability by inserting this small amount of code that I have already written for you. So,
or the ones that have the white background with the gray lettering.
Or what's always best is if you do a dark outline with a light fill, so that even if it is on a black background, then you will see the light lettering. If it's on a light background or a background that matches the internal text, the outline will break it up enough that you'll actually be able to see it. That's a nifty trick that nobody ever remembers.
I was reading something one day, and they were talking about how don't use Comic Sans MS font because it looks unprofessional. It looks like you're running a lemonade stand.
They are damn dirty liars. Comic Sans is my favorite font.
It's the easiest one to read because the lines are thick enough, the letters are big enough, and you don't have to try and figure out, is that Russian? It's not,
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm awake now.
Nick, Brian, and I were arguing about fonts, or not arguing. We're actually commiserating about our favorite fonts during the little convention today. So Carl walks by. He's like, "This is where Donna would say, geek, 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 geek."
No.
I went to the zoo today because I wanted to see an antelope, and I had never seen an insect get married before.
Never seen a what?
I had never seen an insect get married before.
Are you sure you don't have children, Kiri?
Unless you count my cats.
Well, okay, that could work too. Because I mean, the number of dad jokes that you just lay out.
Hey, Rich. Carrie's name starts with a K. There we go. I got Brian K. Morris. I got Carrie. So what was the other one?
Well, it was Kiri and Brian K. Morris that we were talking about. But then again, you've also got Carl. And you've got Donna, Carlene. She's got a couple Ks in hers.
Joe has Joe McKeel.
McKeel, yeah.
My laptop keyboard, the K button is slowly not working too well. So I was sitting there going, I don't use the K. I could understand W, A, S, or D going out, or the enter button, but K
or the space bar,
or space bar. But I can understand. I got one of these, so I don't use. Yeah, I don't use my WASD very much. So.
I think mine's up there. Mine's either up there or over in that corner.
I got two of them. I'd love to buy one of the new ones because the new one has the soft keys like the laptop does, and they light up. So you can actually see it in the dark. I don't know who came up with the idea of a backlit keyboard, but that guy was a genius. Okay,
yeah. The keyboard for my personal laptop is actually backlit. My son's is backlit in different colors that he can set. And so is his wife's.
Was it Asus had a gaming laptop that did that? The rainbow colored keyboard? And you
possibly. Sounds like something that would definitely be in Alienware's wheelhouse. My Acer Nitro here is just red, which is fine for me. I don't need to get fancy with my keyboard colors as long as I can see the hell I'm typing.
All right, guys, we're going to need to wrap for it.
That's a mirror. My keyboard is red.
All right.
It's a signal mirror.
It is time, ladies and gents.
I've got one of those somewhere too.
Everybody should have one.
What is that? The mirror that's got the hole that you can look through?
Yep.
This is the mini one. They make a big one that's supposed to go in a pocket, but if you make a mirror big enough to go in your pocket, you'll break it in your pocket.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to call it a night. Thank you so much for being here, Rich. Thanks for dropping in, Carrie. Thank you, John. With that, we're going to wrap it up and say good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, folks.
All right.
slipped the surly bonds of earth and danced the skies on laughter's silvered wings. Sunward I've climbed and joined the tumbling mirth of sun-split clouds, and done 100 things you have not dreamed of. Wheeled and soared and swung high in the sunlit silence. Hovering there, I've chased the shouting wind along and flung my eager craft through footless halls of air. Up the long, delirious, burning blue, I've topped the windswept heights with easy grace, where never lark nor even eagle flew. And while with silent, lifting mind, I've trod the high, untrespassed sanctity of space, put out my hand and touched the face of God.